Ashwini Vaishnav received JD Vance at the Delhi airport, where he was given a guard of honor as well. In fact, these are the visuals of his arrival, along with his kids too, donning that Indian attire, of course. Vance is accompanied by at least 5 senior US officials, including representatives from the Pentagon and the State Department. Now, JD Vance is all set to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi today in the evening in the national capital. The meeting, in fact, will likely focus on early finalization of the proposed bilateral trade pact and ways to bolster India-US ties. The two sides will also exchange views on regional and global developments of mutual interest. JD Vance is traveling to India against the backdrop of Trump's policy on tariffs that triggered massive trade disruptions and fears of a global economic recession. Let's also discuss the further itinerary of JD Vance here in India as far as his visit is concerned for 4 days. Soon after the arrival now, JD Vance's family is going to visit Swaminarayan Akshardham temple and will also visit the Red Fort. In fact, we have been given to understand that he has already reached the Akshardham temple here in the national capital. In the afternoon, JD Vance is going to meet National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and BJP's National President JP Nadda. Post that, Prime Minister Modi will interact with JD Vance and his family and will in fact also host them for a formal dinner in the evening at his official residence in Lok Kalyan Marg. Vances will then travel to Jaipur on April 22nd, which is tomorrow, and will also visit key tourist sites and will have some engagements too. The US's Vice President and his family will travel to Agra the next day to visit the Taj Mahal and Shilpgram. After concluding their trip to Agra, then Vances will return to Jaipur in the second half of April 23rd. In Jaipur, the Vances are set to stay at the elegant Ram Bagh Palace. Vance and his family will depart for the US from Jaipur on April 24th. So that's about his itinerary, his entire schedule as far as his 4 days of visit here in India is concerned. And these are the live visuals coming in of JD Vance reaching Swaminarayan Temple. The entire convoy of the Vice President of US along with his wife, kids and also 5 US officials. The visit is extremely crucial for India. We will also discuss the underlying messaging of JD Vance's arrival here in India, that too for 4 days. Let's take the chat forward now. Senior Executive Editor of News9, Aditya Raj Kaul, and former Indian diplomat, Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, both of them joining me on the broadcast here at News9. Thank you so much for joining us here for the discussion. Ambassador, first, let me come to you and take your opening remark on how crucial this meeting between JD Vance and Prime Minister Modi is going to be, according to you.
Well, this is one of the first bilateral visits from the Trump administration to any country abroad. And considering that this visit is taking place to India, it is extremely important. It is coming in context of some of the major developments which have taken place in Washington. The new US administration led by President Trump, they are trying to restructure the trade agreements, the global structure pertaining to trade through enhanced tariffs and knocking down tariff and non-tariff barriers and market access and so on. So trade is one part which is absolutely how we are going to deal with those tariffs, what kind of a trade agreement we can possibly conclude with the US in which we are able to safeguard both our interest as well as whatever they want. So that is one. Second thing is that the US-China rivalry under President Trump, it has taken a new dimension. United States has not been happy with several what it calls unfair practices of China, such as denial of market access, subsidies to companies, which are indulging in trade, the issue of overcapacity. China is producing goods far in excess of what they are able to require at home. and they are trying to dump these goods at cheap prices in other countries. So that's another issue. The fourth issue is the exchange rate, how the Chinese exchange rate is going to function vis-a-vis the US dollar and other currencies. And finally, of course, how this issue of, the new tariffs, this is going to be dealt with by China and the United States. So all these are very crucial issues, and these are also going to impact. And then linked to these issues is also another issue which is very important, that is supply chains. US is trying to have supply chains away from China, and China is trying to have supply chains which are based in China. So, which countries become part of which supply chains? How will China compensate for loss of the American market in case they are not able to reach a trade agreement? That's yet another issue. So, all these issues are going to, occupy a very important place. Then we have some bilateral issues, pertaining to technology, pertaining to defense. Whether we are going to get certain technologies that were promised during the earlier Biden administration. What about the question of transfer of technology pertaining to defense items? Things like high performance, next generation of aircraft, fighter aircraft, and other equipments. So all these issues are going to be an important part of the bilateral exchanges. And then, of course, we have issues relating to people-to-people exchanges, visas, green cards, and the question of illegal Indians, how they are being repatriated or deported. All these issues are going to be sort of discussed, but with Prime Minister Modi and, NSA and External Affairs Minister and the Vice President.
Right. Ambassador Gupta, please stay on with us. Aditya, let me try to understand from you that do you think the Vance is visiting India, that too for 4 days, and multiple issues that the ambassador has also highlighted, it can be an underlying opportunity for India to sort of flex their muscle in front of the global market to show and sort of show off the relationship that we share with the US?
Well, India has already shown a very pragmatic response to the Liberation Day announcements of Donald Trump. India is one of the only countries that has not been reactionary in nature as compared to China or many others who have retaliated. In this case, of course, hectic parleys and negotiations are underway, and the conclusion would be known in the next few days or weeks. But I don't see any substantial announcements taking place during the JD Vance visit for the next 3.5 days. Where, of course, this is more of a cultural connect or people-to-people connect that would be the top of the agenda. Of course, in the hectic parleys that are happening, and of course in the meetings that will take place today also, trade tariffs could figure out, as would furthering the ties between India and US when it comes to strategic domains or defense collaborations. That would be on top of the agenda. But to expect any kind of a major announcement, that's quite unlikely. You see, of course, Ashwini Vaishnav welcoming JD Vance, and of course, one of the first visits taking place of a US Vice President in more than 12 years. I would remember last time it was Joe Biden when he was the Vice President in 2013. He had visited New Delhi, and now JD Vance, along with his family, visiting the iconic Akshardham temple in New Delhi. And thereafter, he would be meeting External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, the BJP President JP Nadda, and of course, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. In the evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be hosting them for a dinner, and there would be formal meeting between the two leaders as well. Prime Minister Modi is likely to push for an early solution for the trade pact or the trade negotiations that are currently underway. And of course, then the JD Vance family are headed towards Jaipur. They will be visiting the Amer Fort, the Hawa Mahal, and the City Palace in Jaipur, and then to the iconic Taj Mahal, the iconic wonder in Agra. So overall, I think it's a very important. One of the long-term agendas for New Delhi's perspective would be to really build on a very good diplomatic and dynamic relationship at many levels with JD Vance. Remember, he's very young and he has a long way to go. He's just 40 right now, and he is the Vice President of the United States. He has the trust of Donald Trump. He is a very trusted aide, Man Friday of Donald Trump, and he's likely to contest for the presidential poll also, maybe in future. So certainly he could be a close ally to India when it comes to the US-India strategic partnership in years to come. So certainly to welcome him with all the color, all the best cuisine, and of course he will be staying at the iconic Rambagh in Jaipur, at the ITC Maurya in New Delhi. So a lot of color, a lot of welcoming message from New Delhi that would set the tone of the the hectic parleys that are also underway. And while trade and tariffs are top of the agenda and the big talking points, as I said, I don't see any kind of major announcements during the next 3 or 4 days.
But Ambassador, since you have also highlighted a couple of issues, like my colleague Aditya has also said, but we are expecting that no big announcements are going to come from this particular visit. It's more sort of a cultural visit for JD Vance here in India. But if the discussions actually happen, according to you, what should be the prime topic for the discussion as far as India's inclination is concerned? And also, what kind of negotiations should India be engaging with US in? How should we cash in on this opportunity given to us?
More than the announcements, this visit and the discussions that we have with Vice President Vance, this is going to give us an inkling of, or let's say the further inkling of the mind of the Trump administration, how things are working there, how they are looking at issues pertaining to tariffs. They have announced very high tariffs on China and other countries, and then they gave a reprieve to almost all countries except China for 90 days. So how they intend to go about this tariff issue? There have also been reports that President Trump will be looking or will be asking countries if to disassociate themselves from the supply chains relating to China, not allow the dumping of Chinese goods in their territories, not allow the Chinese goods sent by them to the United States, or to set up industries for sending those goods to the United States. All these issues, they have a very important bearing for us, because China is our next door neighbor. We have a large undelineated border, unsettled border. We have a large trade with China and so on. So all these are very important issues. And then besides that, issues relating to technology, issues relating to defense. What's the thinking of the Trump administration? How do they perceive issues relating to transfer of technology? Can we hope to get sensitive technologies relating to, the next generation of defense equipment? Can we hope to get technology relating to semiconductors and, quantum computing and so on? The cutting edge technologies. So this visit will give us some idea as to where we are, and how to sort of go about defending our interests.
Right. Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, Aditya Rajkal, thank you so much for joining me here for this particular discussion, also putting more clarity onto the significance of JD Vance and his visit here for 4 days in India. With that, we are slipping into a very short commercial break. Do stay with us. We'll come right back.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9 English News.
Associate sponsor HP Lubricants, power to perform.
I need expert performance. I need my Carrier.
Smash your way to glory at the News9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skill, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories.